Here are the complete settings you need for FC26. Let's start with gameplay settings. Obviously, the preset is going to be competitive. Guys, time finishing is gone. There is no more time finishing. So remember, you can spam the double tap button inside the box for low driven shots. More on that later. Shot assistance is going to be precision shooting. If you're not good at precision shooting, you need to learn it, okay? Now, through pass assistance, we have two options, manual or semi. We are going to keep semi. Lob through pass, we have manual or semi. Now, some pro players use manual, but for most of you watching this video, I recommend semi. Ground pass assistance, assisted. That is what I recommend. But if you feel your passes are going off because passing in this game is a little bit different, then keep it at semi. Cross assistance, assisted. Lob pass assistance, we have manual, assisted, or semi. We are going to keep it at assisted. Pass receiver lock, we are going to keep it at late. Now guys, if you feel there is some sort of delay in your gameplay, you can change it to animation start. The only difference is when you set pass receiver lock as late, the game takes your last input, okay? However, if you change it to animation start, for example, if you pass left and at the end you change it towards the right, it will lock in the first input which was left. However, on the late setting, it always locks in the last input. Clearance assistance is going to be directional, defending, advanced, or tactical. Now guys, I recommend using advanced defending, especially with the new shielding mechanics that are in EA FC26. I really prefer using advanced defending. I have played some games, I have played the draft. Now, if you are someone who is used to of tactical defending, then in that case, go ahead, keep using what you were using in EA Sports FC25. Use tactical defending. Professional fouls, now I use them as on. This is where you press R1 plus X or RB plus A on Xbox to commit a professional foul where you get a yellow or a red card. Pass block assistance, on or off, I use it as on. Now auto switching is going to be on air balls and loose balls. Auto switching move assistance, personally for me, I use low. However, you can use none. The only difference is when you are using low, if your player is running in a certain direction, when you get the switch, he will continue running in that direction for a small period of time. However, if it is none, you have the total control over your player. I use low since the start, so I always just stick to it. Right stick switching, classic or anything else, it is always going to be classic. Player switching, now you want to use player relative. If you are using ball relative, and if you have been watching my channel, I keep asking you guys to switch to player relative. It is simply the superior setting. Right stick sensitivity is going to be 3. You, however, can also try 4 or 5. I personally use 3. I recommend 3 or 4 for most of you watching this video. Next, player switching. We only have two viable options here, classic or closest to ball. Classic is what we used to use in games before EA Sports FC24. However, I recommend using closest to ball because you know when you do R1, RB, second man pressing, it is very consistent. It is really consistent compared to classic. Okay, that is why I prefer closest to ball. However, you can use classic, but the most consistent setting is definitely closest to ball. Reaction time calibration, you do not need to turn this setting on. It only adds delay to your gameplay. Please don't use it. Player lock is going to be on. If you're someone who is not using player lock, you need to learn it. Player lock can make you a better player in this game, trust me. Simplified skill moves, no, I am using them as off. It's a new setting this year. You don't need to use simplified skill moves, guys. Controller preferences. Now, for your controller preference, analog sprint off or on, I recommend using it as off. However, we'll experiment with EA Sports FC26. Jockey is really manual in this game. Maybe turning on analog sprint is going to be viable because it allows us to control the speed of our jockey movement when we are defending. But for now, we will keep it as off. Other settings are going to be off as well. There are a lot of different settings in the game that you need to be careful about. Now, before I show you the camera settings, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Gameplay type is obviously going to be competitive. Now this is the default setting for online matches, not authentic. You're going to use competitive. For your camera, disable Ultimate Team competitive camera. If you are playing this game and you feel, oh, my camera is a little bit off, then guys, disable this, okay? Your single player camera is going to be either co-op or tele broadcast. I know most players use co-op. I use tele broadcast just because I prefer having that zoom, okay? Co-op just isn't for me. However, most pro players and good players that play this game now use co-op. It allows you to see more of the pitch. I personally use telebroadcast, all right, and then I use custom settings as well. However, before I show you that, guys, power shot zoom is going to be off, okay? Now, custom height 14, zoom 2, that is what I am using in EA Sports FC26. It gives you the balance, okay? You can actually see the pitch as well as have some zoom on your player that you're controlling. The rest really doesn't matter. Now this is important, okay guys? There is a very important setting here that I recommend you use, especially if you're someone who's not really good in this game. Even if you are good, I would still recommend using it, guys. Teammate contain indicator should be on. Why? Because it will show you which player is going to second man press. If teammate contain indicator is on, you will know which player you will get if you click L1 LB to switch. Okay, this is very important. Use this as on. Playstyle overhead indicators is on. Next player switching indicator is on, just because of what I explained you. Now everything else is personal preference, but one thing guys, so this is something new that EA Sports has added this year, and the default setting is on. Guys, this should have been added 10 years ago, okay? However, come in your visual settings, turn off stadium shadows. Finally, we don't have to bear with these crappy shadows. Finally, okay? Player shadows are going to be on. Otherwise, look, it looks weird when you turn it off, man. It looks like I'm playing like a game from 20 years ago, okay? So otherwise, everything else is personal preference. Don't turn on high contrast mode, okay? The rest of these settings are pretty default.